This is the Ourvoice360 podcast, our perspectives, our way, keeping you in the know while you're on the go. This podcast was created with you in mind. On Ourvoice360, we'll give you inspiration, sports, business and leadership tips, Black history, and entertainment. This is a show built from our perspectives. So if you're ready to be entertained, inspired, laugh a little, be informed, and enlightened, tune in now to Ourvoice360. Let's go! Everybody, and welcome to our show, Ourvoice360, our perspectives, our ways. I'm your man, Chad Bumgarner, 1/3 of the trio. I have with me my man, Pete Hunt.
Good family.
And my man, Mike Brown, the Don Dada.
What's happening?
And with that, let's go ahead and get into it.
Today's show is brought to you by Alex Graphics and Photography. Allow your visions to become reality. And CDB Consulting. Great leadership equals great results. How are you leading? And if you would like to be a sponsor for the Ourvoice360 podcast, please send us an email at ourvoice360@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And on that note, Mike, hit us with some inspiration, man.
All right, gentlemen, kings and queens. It's going to be a question today. If people are not supportive of your success, your achievements in life, why do you have them in your circle?
Oh.
Why?
Oh.
That's a question a lot of people need to ask themselves. Why do you give them all the information that they need to pray against you?
And
that's one thing. One thing I know is, like, you know, speaking for me personally, I've learned when you're about to do something big, keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't pan out, you always got people that's gonna say, I thought you was gonna do this. What happened with that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I told you it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, I tried to tell you.
It's one of those things where misery loves company.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got a dream or a goal in your heart or whatever, and you're excited about it, and you don't know where it's gonna take you because you at the genesis of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're just excited about it, but you always got those ones that, and 9 times out of 10, they were scared to do something at one point in time, so now they're gonna try to make you scared.
Yeah.
To do your thing because they want you to be in the same box that they in.
Yeah, it's for me, it's about, as we say, the old saying, the crab in the bucket mentality.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The crab in the bucket mentality is, you know, if you see a crab getting out of the bucket, okay, hold on. I was comfortable with you down here with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want you to branch out, because if you branch out, that means your attention is going to be somewhere else and not to me.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a very selfish concept. It's very selfish, because if you're down with somebody and this is your guy, your girl, your homie, your homegirl, or whatever the case may be, you want to be pushing them to be successful.
Exactly.
That's right.
You want to be pushing them to follow their dreams and follow their goals that they have etched out for their life. And if you're not that person, and if you feel that, or you see that you got a little hate, or you have a little, or you're feeling some type of way about somebody in your circle succeeding more than you need to fall back.
Yeah, you need to check yourself.
Yeah.
It's insecure and also a little bit of jealousy too, because what if that person does become successful? Like Pete said earlier, now all the attention is off of them, and it's on to this person who has become successful.
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
And now jealousy and hate sets in.
I can't remember
how you make it, and I didn't. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was gonna say I can't remember where I heard this from or who particularly said it, but the statement was that jealousy is the disease of an immature mind.
Oh, that's a quote right there. That's a quote right there. Yeah, I like that.
And I mean, I have a select group of people that I call friends. You know, you got your associates, you got your friends.
How many of us have them?
I can.
The ones that we can depend on.
Houdini.
Before we go any further,
let's be
friends. Yes, let's be friends. Yes, you're preaching a word there, Chad.
Yes, sir.
Word.
That's a classic.
From the biblical scholar Houdini.
Yes, sir. The book of Houdini.
Yes, sir. And I have a certain group of friends that, including you guys, that when something positive happens, I share it with them.
Right. Because
I know I'm going to get positive feedback. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know, it's amazing how people, when you start dealing with people, one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to pull them or they're going to pull you. The question is, who's going to do the pulling? That's why I keep negative people out of my circle.
And then on top of that, Mike, which way are we getting pulled?
Exactly.
Are you pulling us up for success, or you're pulling us down to our detriment?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If the person you're dealing with, the friends you're dealing with, if they're pulling you down, again, I love you to death. We'll always be cool, but I gotta cut ties with you.
Yes, sir.
I gotta cut ties with you. You
know
might.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
Well, because at some point, we must separate ourselves from foolishness.
That's right.
We have to be strong enough people to separate ourselves from foolishness.
That's right.
And a lot of people can't do that. So that's a great question, Mike. Man.
You know what? Before we wrap this up, I want to say real quick, it's no different than when you're growing flowers. There comes a point in time, flowers, shrubberies, bushes, whatever. There comes a point in time where in order for them to grow, you got to prune.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? You got to cut off the dead leaves. You got to cut back the stuff that's weighing you down.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? You got every once in a while you got to prune in your life to get to the next level. Sometimes it's painful because there's people that you love to death, but it's like, if I stay with you, I'm gonna suffocate.
Because they're toxic.
Wow. Right. Exactly. Yep. Another quick example was a story that I heard. This gentleman was speaking, and he was saying that when the plane took off, some of the passengers and the staff noticed that there were snakes on the plane. No, seriously now. This is the story. There were snakes on the plane. And so the lady came to the front and talked to the captain and told him, he said, okay. So he went further up in the air. So the snakes are still moving. The snakes are still, moving around. So the lady comes back to the cockpit and was like, Captain, we need to land this plane. There's snakes on the plane. He said, okay. So he goes a little further up. See, what people didn't realize is the higher you go up, the less oxygen. So they're going to suffocate and die out. So as you make your ascension to where you're supposed to be, to where God's purpose is for your life, some people are gonna, for lack of a better term, gonna have to suffocate. You're gonna have to choke them out so that you can go to the level that you need to go. It ain't pretty and it ain't pleasant, but for you to go to where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Some situations you're gonna have to leave behind. Even in the good book, it speaks about when something positive happens for somebody, we should all rally around them and be joyous and celebrate that occasion. Because just like the good Lord has blessed that person with whatever success he or she has, know that you can get the same thing.
That's right. Look, and I heard a pastor tell me this a long time ago. If you're around somebody that's blessed, if you stay around people that are blessed positively, all right, if we're in a group, Chad, you got your blessing. Pete, you got your blessing. Ain't nobody left but me, so I got to get my blessing. You see what I'm saying? But I mean, that's just, a little something I had on my mind that I wanted to let you guys think about. And that,
Well,
that's just with a lot of people, man.
Yeah,
But,
that's a great thing to think about, because you actually have people out here that's gonna look at this podcast and be like, okay, I've been struggling with this, and I see some brothers that's speaking on this, and maybe I need to look at my life and see those stumbling blocks or people in my life that
I need to cut off.
Mm-hmm. But and like you said, Chad, that's hard. That's a hard thing to do.
It is.
Whether it's friends, whether it's family. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Co-workers, whoever it may be. When you have a relationship with somebody and you feel that, okay, this is coming to an end, you have to be bold enough to stand on it. You have to be bold enough to stand on it and say, look, love you to death, but we gotta go. We are going separate directions.
I'm gonna tell you something.
We should all be in positions in our lives where people that we encounter on a regular basis, if they're not in a position to inspire us or help us grow in any way, shape, or form, we shouldn't be dealing with them.
I'm gonna tell you something.
I know that's gonna cause an issue, but I'm just telling the truth.
I'm gonna tell you something in closing. I'm gonna tell you something my grandfather always told me. If the people that you deal with, friendship wise, whatever, if when y'all meet up, all y'all can talk about is the past, that's a problem.
Woo.
Oh Lord, we might be
segment right there.
Boy, we might be on this all day. Good, yeah, we might need to wrap this up, cause boy, that's a word. That's a word right there, buddy.
It's fine in the hole now.
I need a drink after that one. Yeah,
that's tough.
You drop something on us, but yeah, Mike, for real, man, appreciate that, man. You always, like I say every week, you always deliver with something to put on our minds and our hearts, something for us to think about and go forth and think about it and try to better ourselves with.
Yeah,
sir.
You know, so I appreciate that. But now we're gonna move into my man Pete Hunt with the sports brief. Pete, what's up with the sports, baby? I know it's a little dry out there.
It's really dry. It's really dry out here in these sports streets, doctor. For real, man. This COVID got us locked up.
Yeah.
And look, and won't let me out.
Oh my God.
But man, let's talk.
Hey, COVID's got us locked up like the glove on that defense.
I know that Gary Payton like. I know that's right. But yeah, man, I want to touch on a couple of subjects. The first one I want to talk about is the signing of Cam Newton to the New England Patriots. And I want to get you guys feeling about that after I talk about it a little bit. He signed a 1-year incentive-laced deal upwards to $7 million if he reaches all of his incentives. And for me personally, I think it's a great move for Cam Newton, and I think it's a phenomenal move for New England. Even though they're really talking about Jared Stidham, replacing Tom Brady, and a guy that's thrown 4 passes in the NFL. Now you have a guy, a former MVP, a former Super Bowl player, led his team, the Panthers, to the Super Bowl in 2015. Now you got a veteran guy that you can really put your arms around and focus your offense towards his skills, which, mind you, are a great set of skills. The guy is a really, really good football player. I really like Cam Newton. I like Cam Newton in the spot with Bill Belichick and with Josh McDaniels, because as Josh McDaniels, he may not be a person that you're going to look at as a head coach, but as an offensive coordinator, he is really good at X's and O's and putting his quarterbacks in positions to be successful. If you look at Tom Brady over the years with Josh McDaniels and the things he had to change, from Tom Brady being a guy who could throw the ball down the field to Randy Moss in those years when he had big time receivers, to this guy who in his later years, even though he's still playing and with a different team, he become a check down guy, quick pass guy with Julian Edelman, 5 to 10 yard slant routes, yard after the catch guy. But now with Cam, you have a guy that can throw the ball down the field, but he can also run the football and can also enhance your running backs in the same light. So I think it's a great move for Cam and a great move for New England with them pairing together. What you guys think?
You know what? I think you have a good point. I think Cam could have stayed at Carolina and played out his days and eventually retired there. Had he not lost focus of why he was there. And this is just my opinion. I feel like Cam, after a while, he got too hung up on his fashion. He got too hung up on his fashion. I know y'all like, where is he coming from? I'm just talking about at the press conferences. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I think he focused more on that than playing ball. And I don't know what was happening in the locker room, but you could see the chemistry out on the field with him and his offense. It was not where it once was that I saw. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it was if Cam started to become too mouthy. It could have been a number of things, but I feel like some way, shape, or form, Cam lost focus of why he was there at Carolina to begin with. I really feel like if he would have just focused on playing ball and winning games, that he probably could have retired there and been I guess a son of Charlotte, North Carolina when it came to the Panthers. But now, like you said, signing with the Patriots, I think that's great because I think Belichick and the offensive coordinator can really get him refocused. And I don't know if he lost the love for the game. Maybe he did. I'm on the outside looking in. But I think they can reel back in and make him the quarterback that he once was, especially after the injury, because right now nobody knows what he's really capable of because he hasn't really played. But I think he's healthy enough, and I think being with Bill Belichick in that system, I think it's going to make Cam more valuable. And I think he will return to the Cam Newton we all knew and loved when he first started playing for the Panthers.
I think myself, when it comes to the Cam Newton going to the Patriots, I think that's awesome. Sometimes you have to look at it like this. When you're the big fish in a small pond, you get away with a lot.
Yeah.
But when you move and you become the small fish in the ocean, you got to get right. You got to step your game up.
Some of that humble pie, yeah.
Yeah. You want to eat that humble pie, the whole pie. But I think it's a good move for him, man, because there the last couple of years he started getting negative comments, with the Panthers, just fans saying negative comments about him. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a good look for him.
Pete, you look disheveled, man. What's
I'm really trying to.
You look like we stepped on your fresh pair of J's, man. Like you just
No. I'm just confused by the statement that you made, Chad, as far as him not being focused or him being focused on his fashion, this, that, and the third. But he was hurt. The issue with Cam Newton was injuries.
Yeah.
I don't think he lost his focus on the game. I don't think he lost his love for the game. And I think the chemistry with him and Christian McCaffrey and the others, I think they had a good rapport with each other. But I feel that the injuries took a toll. This dude was playing with a torn rotator cuff, and then and to supplement with that, he ends up trying to supplement the bad shoulder. He gets the foot injury. Mm-hmm. So I think it was more injury. It was more injury than anything else. In my personal opinion. But I mean, what he does off the field and the way he dresses and this, that, and the third, I think to me, that's an excuse for people to denigrate this guy. That's what I think, because more people are talking about how he dresses and the scarves and the hats and the capri pants and all of that stuff. But that's what he does. That's his thing. Go ahead, Mike.
See, I never know he was starting out.
They look at Andre 3000. It ain't started from spitting them bars. Look how he dressed.
He don't play no ball.
I'm saying though, look at his fashion. We all thought he was crazy. He's still spitting.
Yeah, so I think I don't think it's a situation where he has to change who he is from a personal standpoint. He just need to be healthy and to be on the field.
Yeah.
That for me, that's what I think it is. And Mike, you said something about the fans. It's funny how fans act when you ain't winning.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
That.
When you're not winning, when they were winning, there was nobody better than Cam Newton.
Yep.
He was the best thing since sliced bread. They struggled a little
Winning
bit.
covers up a lot of resentment, anger, all the little petty stuff. Winning covers up a lot of that. But when you start losing, then that stuff starts to magnify. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. People start telling on themselves.
Yeah.
And from a fan's perspective,
Yeah.
folk really start telling on themselves.
Yeah.
Actually, the media in New England is already starting. I just saw something this morning on Twitter that a Boston podcast was talking about Cam is not going to be able to, he's not going to come up here and dab, and he's not going to come up here and do his Superman, do his Superman celebration. But you same people let Gronk act a fool. Gronk would score a touchdown and act a fool.
He sure did.
But now what was the quote? He said, the guy said, we don't do that up here. That was the quote.
Who is we?
Exactly. Who is we? So a lot of people are telling on themselves, and now the Boston media, which are not the most welcoming to black folk.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're starting to tell on themselves, and he hadn't even put on the uniform yet. So it's going to be really interesting on how people take Cam Newton. But as far as that's concerned, I think it's a great fit for Cam Newton. I think he's going to flourish. And at the end of this year, if they play this year, he is going to have a phenomenal season, and he's going to have a gigantic payday at the end of this year. He's going to have somebody's going to give him, whether he stays in New England or he goes somewhere else, he's going to have a gigantic payday.
I think New England's going to rejuvenate his career. Yeah. I really do. I think it, and I agree with you. It is a good fit for him, and being in that system and working with Belichick will only take his game to the next level.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. And the second thing I want to talk about, since we were talking about Corona earlier, these sports leagues are still forging ahead to have these seasons amid the COVID-19 pandemic. And what these teams are finding out, the more guys that they test, the more these guys are positive. And if you look
last week, Pete,
exactly, it's about the money. But at what point are you going to start talking about these guys' health? Last week, they're trying to start the NBA.
They're commodities.
Yeah. And the Denver Nuggets had to close down their practice facility because they had multiple unnamed guys have test positive for COVID.
Sure did.
The Brooklyn Nets, 3 of their major players tested positive for COVID this past weekend. They just shut down minor league baseball. They shut down minor league baseball for the whole year because of COVID-19. And I get it. They're going to lose a boatload of money. But at what point do you take the care and the health of your players that's playing for you? Even in the NCAA, where the players have no voice. They basically, you do what we say do.
I feel like real quick, Pete, I feel like for the owners, it's hard for them to make that assimilation because all of these men are multi-millionaires, if not billionaires, and all they're thinking about is money in the bottom line. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how, because on one side, I see it to whereas they're looking at, okay, we've got TV contracts, we got all this money that's on the line that these guys don't play, but at the same time, you have millions invested in these players. Mm-hmm. And so why would you take that and risk their health and the possibility of shutting down the season altogether, which you should have done from the jump, and just, I'm sure some kind of tax write-off you can get from this as a team owner. You know what I mean? I mean, you're not at a complete loss.
Right.
Here's what I think. I think the players themselves should really sit down and look at their worth to these people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Okay, they gave you a couple million, but do they care about you, really? Or do they just care about you when you're making them money?
Well, the players have been very vocal about not playing because the underlying thing with the players right now is they're saying that social justice is their main concern right now. A lot of them saying they're not even thinking about basketball. And the way they're doing it, to me, is real smart, because now you have an opportunity where the ball's in your court. You hold the power.
No pun intended.
You know what I mean? No pun, but you hold the power. The athletes right now hold the power.
Yeah.
And now's their chance to make the most of it. You know what I mean? I'm not about to step on this court and risk getting infected and taking it back home to me and mine. Just because you want to satisfy some fans or you want to satisfy a TV contract. My health is more important. And as long as you got the players in majority standing together, now they've got some bargaining power with the owners and the league.
But with the players, they're in a tough position because they're not getting paid. It's even though their contract is like NBA, baseball, with the owners not making money, they're not getting paid, or they're getting paid in a prorated rate as far as baseball is concerned. So they're in a tough position. Okay, I want to be healthy, I want to stay healthy, but I got this mansion over here across the way that I got a mortgage on. Or I got to pay for these cars, and these LeBrons and those type of guys. They good.
Right,
good.
The top 1% of the league is good. Yeah,
good. But it's those bottom guys who may have not taken care of their money.
And don't have endorsements.
But you know
exactly.
What? If y'all remember the last time, I think it was the league. The guys went on strike. I forgot what happened. And Pete, you might remember this. Didn't Kobe and some of the big time marquee players tell the ones that weren't making as much money, hey, we'll front y'all a little bit of money to keep y'all going until the league figures this thing out, or we get back on our feet, or whatever the case. Do you remember that a couple years ago?
That was the NFL. That was the NFL where they said
no, NBA, because it was Kobe and LeBron, all the ones that were really making money.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? They were each going to their team saying, hey, we'll front you a loan, or we'll front you a little bit to keep you going until we get this. Because there was an issue between the league and the players.
Right.
And I can't remember what it was, but I remember Kobe and them stepping up and saying, hey, we're going to take care of the players that are not making as much for right now until we can get this thing squashed.
And that's cool, and say that in that vacuum, but as a man,
yeah,
I'm looking at it as, okay, I don't want to rely on some other man to pay my bills. You see what I'm saying?
It makes you feel
it is a loan.
But it's a pride thing.
I agree.
But also, let's take it to somewhere else. Let's take it to professional golf. Now you have professional golfers. You had 6 professional golfers over this past week test positive for COVID. Now you can't get any more open space than golf.
Yeah. That's true.
If these guys are out here on golf courses testing positive from COVID, and they may have not gotten it from somebody in the PGA, they may have gotten it from somewhere else, but yet and still, they have it. And so, do you want to put Rory McIlroy in that position, or Phil Mickelson, or Tiger Woods, or any of the big name golfers, or either the lesser known golfers? Do you want to put those people in that position to have to make decisions on a life and death situation that could possibly happen? Because if you look at Rudy Gobert, he came out yesterday and said that he's still having issues smelling after he got, he was the first one to have the COVID in the NBA, which started all of this shutting down of sports. To this day, and that was months ago. He said he's still having an issue smelling and still having an issue breathing. And that was months ago, and they said he's fine. Again, we have to look at the long-lasting effects of these guys getting COVID.
Yeah.
The long-lasting effects of this, because it's not like you get the flu and you take some NyQuil and you feel better in 3 days.
Right.
This COVID is hanging with people.
That's true.
It's doing things to their lungs. It's doing things to their breathing. So these sports leagues are really going to have to look at, are we going to be able to play? Are we going to be able to play?
Right.
So that's it for me, guys, on the sports tip. Chad, what do you have next?
All right. Well, my brother, appreciate that on the sports brief, man. That was some great conversation, some great insight, and I do appreciate that every week.
Yes, sir.
But now we come into this week's edition of Chad's Leadership Corner, where you all will get tips and insight on business and leadership. So with that, let's get right on into it. So I got a chance to read this great article on this sister. Her name is Stacey Brown Philpott. Now, she knew the power of representation as far as African Americans and African American women early on in her career as an intern for a black partner in an accounting firm in the 1990s. She thought it was something that she could accomplish because she saw somebody doing it that looked like her. So after graduating from University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business, she also became a black partner of the accounting firm. And then soon after that, she moved on to become an investment banker at Goldman Sachs. So shortly after that, then she moved on to Google, where she assumed duties of leadership roles there. There she founded the Black Googlers Network, an employee resource group, which I thought was kind of dope.
Yeah.
Now, she's now the CEO of a company called TaskRabbit, right? Which is an online mobile marketplace that matches freelance labor with consumers looking to get everyday tasks accomplished. It's kind of like this company called Fiverr. They do the same thing. They freelance like graphic arts work, website designs, all that good stuff. Same thing, just a different industry. So recently she had an interview with New York Times, and she said her first job actually was as a chief on a paper route. And she had this business with her brother. She said she would help him collect the money. She was like the CFO of that corporation to make sure they got paid. Now she's one of the few black executives in Silicon Valley, and she says she faces discrimination that no black person is spared from. So in other words, she's saying, she wasn't no different than any other black person. Whether it was a paper route or growing a tech company, she said, I got discriminated against all the time. Nobody thinks I'm a CEO, and that's sad. But to this day, she gets that. So, but no amount of discrimination and stereotype can take away what Stacey has been able to accomplish in her career. She was still a go-getter. But I say all that to say the topic for the business aspect was the 3 business tips, according to Stacey Brown Philpott of TaskRabbit, the CEO of TaskRabbit. So according to her interview that she gave in Forbes, the 3 best business tips that she had, the first one was you accomplish what you measure. All right. Second one was scarcity brings clarity. And then the third one is doing your best in this moment puts you in the best possible position for the next moment. Now, after she sold TaskRabbit to IKEA, it started expanding to more cities, and she believes now that the tech company will help spearhead job creation in every community it enters. So her 3 business tips: you accomplish what you measure, scarcity brings clarity, and doing your best in this moment puts you in the best possible position for the next moment. The first 2, I was trying to get more from her on that, so I went to the actual interview to read it, but she never did go deeper into her tips. But I think the first one, you accomplish what you measure, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm assuming that she's saying whatever you set goals for and prepare to do, and you accomplish it, that's how you measure it, by how you accomplish it. Scarcity brings clarity. Still trying to figure that one out. I thought maybe y'all might have some insight on that one, but definitely the third one, doing your best in this moment puts you in the best possible position for the next moment. Now, I agree with that 100%.
To me,
whatever you're working on, when you're in that moment, you do the best that you can do. You present yourself the best that you can. Right. And when it's done, people remember that. So going forward, they know who to get stuff done.
I think as far as the scarcity brings clarity, to me, I think it's talking about overwhelming yourself. Like, people take on way too many tasks and they can't concentrate on that one thing. But if you put distance in between A and B, you can concentrate on A. You can get A completed, then do B. You see what I'm
So
saying?
you saying pull back on a lot of them so you can just like focus.
Yeah, that's just like in my business, graphic design, and everything that I do. I've learned through trial and error not to accept more jobs that I can dedicate 100% to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Never be afraid to turn something away or even give it to somebody else that does the same thing you do in your field. There's enough money for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
That advice to my daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, because if I can't give you 100%,
Right.
I can't give you anything. That's the way I feel. Because I know as a customer in so many things, when you're dealing with somebody, you want that person to give you their all. They don't care how many other jobs or projects you got going on.
That's right.
Their project is number one to them, so they want it to be number one to you.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's what I get out of it.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that.
But that advice right there wasn't free. That's gonna be about $19, bro. I'll give my cash app later.
Send me an invoice.
I got you. I got you.
All right, brothers. Now we're gonna move on to the leadership portion of the leadership corner. And today we're gonna be talking about a CEO is different than a leader. A CEO, if you don't know, is way different than a leader. Functional leaders exist in every company. Each department and team has someone in charge who's making sure everyone is operating effectively, right? But the buck stops with the CEO. Now, as a leader, you understand the importance of different types of leadership styles. Good leadership is about recognizing where your blind spots are and where you're strong.
Really?
CEOs have to have,
My blind spot with my eye. That's
bruh.
see what I'm saying? That's why I can't fool with him, dog. You know I got the eye situation going on.
Okay. Good leadership is about recognizing where you have a hard time seeing your strengths and also your weaknesses. But now, CEOs also have this assessment, well, they have to take this assessment a step further. Being at the top means understanding your own leadership style and the different type of leaders that are around you as well.
Right.
Also, as a leader, you discover how to use and understand your intuition, your gut feeling. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely essential that you learn to trust your intuition. Now, the problem is it's harder to do that when you become CEO. It can seem awkward or uninformed to say, this is how I feel about it, rather than relying on cold, hard data, right? Mm-hmm. But honestly, some of the worst decisions that CEOs have ever made came from not listening to their intuition. Now, we all know your intuition is not going to be right 100% of the time. That's a given. But there's often a reason why you get that gut feeling about a person or a situation. At the very least, you'd be wise to explore it before making a decision. Understanding the nuances is just to give, how do I put this? It's just to give part of the transition from a leadership position to a CEO. Now, truthfully, there will never be a time where you will look around and dust your hands off and think, that's it. I know everything there is to know. There is always a skill that you can be honing. I'm going to say this. One of those is learning how to thrive in differences that set you apart from everyone else. So that's my leadership tip, I guess, for today. CEO is a whole lot different than being a leader.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
like that.
I think a lot of CEOs, when they've worked themselves from the mailroom to CEO, or you bought the company and you're the CEO, or whatever the case may be. I think a lot of times they get separated from employees. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no
a silo.
Yeah. I had a situation at the television station where there was an issue with, well, not really an issue with the current climate. Some employees were wanting to know, what does our television company, our television station do for the community, the Black community specifically? Do you do anything? I mean, first of all, they started inside the four walls of the station and we're like, okay, we don't have Dr. King's birthday as a paid holiday. Should we do something for Juneteenth? Those were questions asked by employees of the television company. And my question was, when it was brought to me and how I felt about it, my question was, what are they doing in the community? What are they going to do in the Black community? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it come back to us. We received a very company email that went out throughout the whole, what they were going to do. We were going to have Dr. King a paid holiday now and this, that, and the third. And cool, but listen to your employees. Come listen to us and what we have to say about it. Well, the question that we wanted to ask was, what are you doing in the community? It's cool that, or one of the questions I wanted to ask, it's cool that, I get this little piece of money. That's fine. But what else are we going to do as far as this entity? And I was told by somebody in between, not the CEO, but somebody, another upper management person,
senior management.
A management person, that the CEO, she is shy, and she doesn't want to ruffle feathers or X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, as important as this time is, and as important as this issue is, take the CEO hat off and come talk to your employees.
I need to coach her.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of issues for a lot of CEOs. Come down and talk to your employees and see what's going. Walk through the job and say, ask them, how you doing? How what's going on? What's this, that? What are your issues? Do you have any issues? This, that, and the third. And I think that's a problem. I think that's an issue between employees and upper management and even CEOs of companies, that there's no correlation. It's like, we're here and you're there, and there's no in between. There's no middle ground where I can come to you and express how I feel.
Okay, let me give you an example. I know what you're talking about, because it's a disconnect between the two. I used to work for a company that the owner of the company was there every day. The owner of the company would come out and relieve you for break if need be. The owner on the floor every day, seeing what's going on with his company, ask you questions. How can he make it better? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that was one of the best atmospheres I have ever worked in, because you could talk to him. You could go up to him like a regular person. Open door policy. It wasn't ever a CEO hat. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But he also started from the bottom and built his company from the floor as a worker. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that makes a lot of difference. You know what I'm saying? Just like you guys were saying, if somebody bought the company or ended up in that position. Huh?
Who did you work for? Drake?
Drake. You said you worked for Drake? No.
You said you started from the bottom, now you're here.
But I didn't start from the bottom. He did. But now we there. I'm here though. I started mine by myself.
Right.
So I know what it takes.
I thought you was working with Drake, because you said I used to manage Meek Mill, but I don't work with Drake right now. Okay. You just started from the bottom. I said, okay, you work with Drake. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, but for real talk though, with CEOs, I had a client a while back, and he was a CEO, but he was of a smaller company. And I had to get him to understand that as a CEO, everybody has a bottom line. But as a CEO, you should have 3 bottom lines. You should have 3. The first one is, what are you doing for your employees? The second one is, what are you doing for your organization? And then the third one is, what are you doing for the community that you work in? Mm-hmm. Those are the 3 bottom lines that you need to always be focused on. Because if you can become successful in those bottom lines, you're doing pretty damn good as a CEO.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But that's it for me, fellas. If you would like any leadership development training, team building, coaching, or diversity training, please don't hesitate to contact me directly, chad@chadbumgarner.co, or you can reach me at 678-571-2773. And remember, great leadership equals great results. How are you leading? Mike, back to you, baby. Drop these gems on our Black history. Teach us about ourselves.
All right. So
Thank you very much, Mike. Moving on. All right, Mike, what you got, man?
Today we're going to discuss a man by the name of Jesse Eugene Russell.
Okay.
And he was the developer of something the whole world uses right now, which is cell phones.
Oh, I thought he sung with the platters.
Nah.
Yeah.
He probably served a couple dishes with the platters.
Okay.
Jesse Eugene Powell was born April 26, 1948 in Nashville, Tennessee. He is known as the father of digital technology. He was the first person hired from an HBCU as a technology leader at A&T Bell Technologies, now known as Bell Labs.
What HBCU, Mike? Do you know?
Wait a minute.
Okay.
Hold your horses.
Okay.
The Tennessee State University and Stanford University graduate.
Woo! TSU.
Earned both his undergraduate and master's degrees in electrical engineering.
Wow.
He led the first team at Bell Labs to introduce cellular technology into the U.S. in 1988.
Man, good gracious.
He is also credited with creating the first digital cellular base station, now known as cell towers. He owns over 75 patents in digital cellular technologies, dual mode cellular phones, and digital software radio. New Jersey based INC Networks Incorporated works with 4G wireless and also digital technologies. He was inducted into the National Academy of Engineering in 1995, among many other accolades. He is 71 years of age. He resides in Piscataway, New Jersey. And they want you to think that we didn't do something great with technology.
So he's the reason why we have cell phones.
He is the reason why we have cell phones.
That's unreal, man.
And if you did not know, just a little gem, a black man invented the internet. Did y'all know that?
I did hear about that out of Nigeria or somewhere in West Africa.
He was a doctor.
The doctor, okay.
And he worked in he was an engineer rather. And he designed a way for his computer to talk to other computers in the building, so that people wouldn't have to run from room to room. This little something they're not gonna tell you.
Man, our people, man. Good gracious of life. It makes no sense that all of this knowledge and all of these things that we do on this earth from the beginning of time, from mathematics to astrology to religion, we the baddest things on the planet. I mean,
but the worst part about it is we don't know it.
Exactly. That's why I appreciate Mike and this Black History, because it's gonna be some stuff that, Chad, we're gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
For real?
And there's some things,
run that back.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you think about it, it's a reason why we don't know these things.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you tell a child that you can be this and have that child aspire to be that and overpower you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to call out no race, no none of that. But if you look at it, I mean, if you look at it, all the things that we have done that other people have taken credit for.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't understand why this is not in the history books. I mean, this ushered in a whole new age of technology.
Yeah.
Because from this came, like you said, the cell phones.
Yeah.
Then you had the tablets,
Yeah.
the laptops that became
Everything
tablets.
digital. He owned over 75 patents, bruh. Digital radio. He owns the patent to that.
Why is it that we know more about
Bill Gates.
Thank you. I was thinking about Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, but we don't know about this brother. This brother is the reason that
they had a job. No pun intended. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just baffles my mind that what we do for this world is never celebrated. It's only celebrated in certain times, this, that, and the third, but just to be celebrated overall, you know, the things that we have contributed as a people to this country and to this world.
Yeah,
it's extremely disappointing that these things are not known on a daily basis. These things that everybody should know, just not us as Black people, but everybody should know this.
Right.
This should, like you said, Chad, this should be in history books. When they do an AT&T commercial, they should put his face on the AT&T commercial. This is why we are a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah, for real.
I mean, honestly,
that's true.
Man, Mike, that's big, man. Good gracious.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. Sometimes when I'm going through this stuff, man, and I'm reading it, I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. My eyes water up, dog, because it's stuff that, you know,
and you
never knew.
And you're supposed to get emotional. You're supposed to. I mean,
get emotional, bro.
Man, you said what?
When I was doing this research, huh?
You said what now? What happened when you read through it? What happened?
Eyes water up, bro.
Eyes.
Oh, you got jokes.
This is where Mike made a slip of the tongue. Please ignore him.
My bad. No, when I cry, they both water. I can't see without a water. But when I cry, they still do what it's supposed to do. It just can't see right now. Since we got jokes.
This is why y'all my boys. This right here.
All right, though. That's all right, though.
Oh, my
Everything
goodness.
you do to me, gonna come back to you.
Oh, Lord.
My God. But nah, Mike. Nah, seriously, man. Appreciate the Black History, man. I always make me walk a little taller, stand a little straighter when I hear one.
No, that's
from
right.
Week to week. So yeah, that's dope. And it really should be a history book, man. Everybody should be learning about that brother, not just us.
Every time you pick up one of these, thank you, Mr. Russell.
Yes, sir.
I know that's right.
Yes, sir.
Well, fellas, we have come to the part of the show where we talk about, you know how we do, where you hear up-to-date news about us in the entertainment industry as well as Black achievements overall. And so with that, we're going to start out with achievements. Now, Pete, I don't know if you know, I think you've heard about this. I'm not sure, but Major League Baseball appoints first Black umpire crew chief.
Yes, sir.
You heard about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The Associated Press has learned that Major League Baseball has appointed its first African-American umpire crew chief, promoting Kerwin Danley to the position this week. Now, the MLB often shuffles its roster of umpires in the offseason to account for retirements, promotions, and new hires, things of that nature. But the 58-year-old Danley has worked 2 World Series and been on the field for 10 other postseason rounds, including the AL Championship Series last year. He's also been chosen to call 2 All-Star games. Didn't know that. Danley called his first game in the majors in 1992 as a minor league fill-in and was hired to the MLB staff in 1998. Now, Danley played his college ball at San Diego State. Yeah, that's where he played. And was first-team All-American outfielder in '83 when he batted a .399. He was teammates with the Aztecs' future Hall of Famer outfielder Tony Gwynn,
Mm-hmm.
which was Danny's roommate at San Diego State.
Wow.
And now Gwynn is currently the Colorado manager. No, I'm sorry. He played with Danny Gwynn and current Colorado manager Bud Black.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a neat coincidence, check this out. Danley was the first base umpire when Gwynn got his 3,000th hit during a 1999 game in Montreal and gave his former teammate a hug by the bag.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was dope. Danley began his umpire career in '85 in the Northwest League and kept working his way up through the minors. He is known for having an even temperament, always an attractive quality when MLB picks his crew chiefs. He has totaled just 4 ejections in the past 5 seasons, according to retrosheet.org. Danny was also an instructor at the first umpire camp at MLB's Urban Youth Academy in Compton, California. And there have been about 10 full-time African-American umpires in the majors since Emmett Ashford ascended to become the first in 1966. There have been several blacks in the MLB umpire leadership positions, including Peter Woodfork, Senior Vice President of Baseball Operations, and Supervisor Chris Jones, and the late Chuck Merriweather, a longtime big league umpire who became a supervisor.
Cool.
So I think that's really big, especially in the major league. That's big.
And
now
I would be
hold
on, Chad. I would be remiss and I should have highlighted this in my sports brief, but this is the 100th year anniversary of the Negro Leagues. Since we're speaking about baseball, yes.
Wow.
The 100th year anniversary of the Negro Leagues this week. So so caps off, tip my cap to the Negro League, the 100th anniversary of the Negro League. Which, you know, the great, great Satchel Paige, Jackie Robinson, Josh Gibson, you know, players of those ilk first played in the Negro Leagues because, of course, you know, segregated. MLB was segregated. So want to give a big shout out to the Negro League since we're talking about baseball.
And all the players. Yes, sir. Indeed. All right. Furthermore, in achievements, we're going to talk about Nicole Hannah Jones. She wins the Pulitzer Prize for the 1619 Project. Have y'all heard about that? Came out
Yes, sir.
last year, I believe.
Yeah. Read that.
Really
Actually have a copy of the 1619. Mm-hmm.
She was awarded the 2020 Pulitzer Prize for commentary for the 1619 Project, the New York Times Magazine groundbreaking exploration of the legacy of Black America, starting with the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in 1619. Now, as the 1619 Project's official education partner, the Pulitzer Center has connected curricula based on the work of Hannah Jones and her collaborators to some 4,500 classrooms since August of last year, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Highlights of the center's work include tens of thousands of students in all 50 states engaged with the curricular resources, which include reading guides, lesson plans, and extension activities. Tens of thousands of copies of the magazine were shipped by the New York Times and the Pulitzer Center to students and educators at K-12 schools, community colleges, HBCUs, and many other campuses.
That's what's up. 5
school systems adopted the project at a broad scale: Buffalo, New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Delaware, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Now, the Pulitzer Center events were organized with Hannah Jones in 5 cities and at educational institutions, including Whitney Young Magnet High School, Wilbur Wright College of City Colleges of Chicago, University of Chicago, School of the Art Institute of Chicago, Winston-Salem's R.J. Reynolds High School, Washington, D.C.'s Dunbar High School, and HBCU's Howard University, Hampton University, and Houston Tillotson University. That's one I haven't heard of. I got to investigate them. Well, research them, I should say. But the center congratulates Hannah Jones on her historic wins and looks forward to continuing to collaborate with her and the team at the New York Times Magazine on this important work. And what I'll do is for our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, I will put the link where people can click on and get the education resources so they can check it out. Maybe they want to, see it for their kids or for their classes if we got some teachers watching or listening. So I'll be sure to add that in the link as well.
Job.
And that's what we have for Black Achievements this week. Now, on to entertainment. This ain't really us on this one, but I thought it was pretty. It's kind of us, but not really. Anyway, headlines. White actress will no longer voice Black character on hit Netflix series.
What? Woo.
Quote, I acknowledge how my original reasoning was flawed, that it existed as an example of white privilege, end quote. Who is that? Her name is Jenny Slate. As the reckoning for business across the country continues to happen, some actors in Hollywood are jumping ahead of the curve by playing their part in ensuring that roles and characters based on people of color are actually played by people of color. Now, on June 24th, the actress Jenny Slate took to Instagram to announce that she would no longer be the voice of, quote-unquote, Missy, the Black character on Netflix's animated series Big Mouth. Before adding that, her decision was based on the fact that the role should be voiced by a Black person. Quote, at the start of the show, I reasoned with myself that it was permissible for me to play Missy because her mom is Jewish and white, as am I. But Missy is also Black, and Black characters on an animated show should be played by Black people, end quote. I acknowledge how my original reasoning was flawed, that it existed as an example of white privilege and unjust allowances made within a system of societal white supremacy, and that in me playing Missy, I was engaging in the act of erasure of Black people. Ending my portrayal of Missy is one step in a lifelong process of uncovering the racism in my actions, end quote. Slate continued her announcement, revealing that she's recently contemplating her comedy career, before acknowledging that she made mistakes along the way. The comedian also added that she will continue to engage in meaningful and anti-racist action, be thoughtful about the messages in her work, and be open and curious to feedback, and do her best to take responsibility for the ways that she is part of the problem, end quote. Now, according to TV Guide, I see you, Pete, you ready to jump at the bed. Hang tight. Now, according to TV Guide, after seeing Jenny Slate's post, the creators of Big Mouth, Nick Kroll, Andrew Goldberg, Mark Levin, and Jennifer Flackett, also pasted on Kroll's Instagram in support of Slate's decision to step down, before apologizing as well to their fans for the offense. Quote, now this is from the writers of the show, creators rather. After thoughtful discussion with us and our Black collaborators, Jenny Slate has decided, and we wholeheartedly agree, that Missy on Big Mouth should be voiced by a Black actor, end quote. We sincerely apologize for and regret our original decision to cast a white actor to voice a biracial character. We made a mistake, took our privilege for granted, and we're working hard to do better moving forward.
Is it my turn?
Go ahead. I got one more for the entertainment, but go ahead, jump in there real quick.
I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate the sentiment. I appreciate, you looking at your white privilege for what it is. I appreciate it. I appreciate them changing Ain't Your Mama. I appreciate them changing Uncle Ben's. I appreciate all of that. And that's cool. But that ain't what we asked for. We asked for police to stop killing us. That's what we asked.
Right.
We asked for us to for people higher ups and companies to stop discriminating against us.
That's right.
And I appreciate the cat from The Simpsons not doing Cleveland no more, because he was another one, Hank Azaria or whatever his name is. I appreciate you not wanting to do Cleveland or the other characters on The Simpsons anymore. I appreciate that. Good looking out, and good looking out that you're wanting Black actors to do the job that they were supposed to do in the first place. but that ain't what we asked for. And again, I appreciate it, but my only question is,
it's like you said,
why now? Why now? You
Yeah.
you knew what it was when you first. Well, look, we can take this back to Lion King. Why was Simba voiced by that boy off of Home Improvement or whatever show that was? Simba should have been a little black character. You know,
speaking of Lion King, you do know that the Lion King song was written by an African black man, right?
Talking about the Circle of Life?
No. The Awimawet in the jungle.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That he ain't get no royalties for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Family had to take him to court and everything. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this goes back to, like I said, to like I said, the Lion King, when the little white kid was doing the voice of Simba. Hold on, how your daddy, James Earl Jones, and your mama is Madge Sinclair, and you
sound like Opie.
Come on now. But I do appreciate it though. I good looking at. I do appreciate it because it's black voice actors out here to this day that need jobs.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But yeah, don't get it twisted. We still want what we want.
Right.
I can't remember which civil rights person said this. I want to say Malcolm X, but
yes, it was Malcolm. I know exactly where you're going, brother.
Where he said they won't give you what you want. They give you a piece of something to keep you quiet instead of giving you what you intentionally asked for.
Yeah, that I can't remember that exact quote, but yeah, that was Malcolm. It was Malcolm.
Yeah, it was something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, y'all gonna, if you like that one, y'all gonna love this one. Y'all gonna love this one. Check this out. Candace Owens suspended by GoFundMe for lying on black people.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw that. She need to be suspended for TV.
For spreading falsehoods against the black community. Y'all love to see it. BlackAmericaWeb.com reports Candace Owens is a darling of the far right. We all know that.
Yeah, we knew that.
Due to her, sure, I'll tap dance for you, massa antics. But that doesn't mean the jig hasn't been spotted. And not just by black people. The top tier, self-hating buffoon, now this ain't my word, this from BlackAmericaWeb.com, has been suspended by GoFundMe due to her gaslighting antics. According to the Daily Beast, Owens was suspended due to harsh words she aimed at the late George Floyd. Despite the man's murder literally inspiring global protests against police brutality, the notorious CO determined it necessary to try to slander the man's name.
Yeah.
Quote, GoFundMe has suspended the account associated with Candace Owens, and the GoFundMe campaign has been removed because of a repeated pattern of inflammatory statements that spread hate, discrimination, intolerance, and falsehoods against the black community at a time of profound national crisis, end quote, said the platform in a statement. So they told her why she was being suspended. These actions violate our terms of service. Now, reportedly, Owens was raising money for the Parkside Cafe in Birmingham, Alabama, whose co-owner, Michael Dykes, went on social media to call Floyd a quote-unquote thug. Didn't even know the man. He also multitasked and called protesters idiots via text message, which also made it online. Don't shed a tear, because Parkside Cafe is still getting money that was raised, and they've also apologized for Dykes being a head ass. Yep, that's the type of hill Candace Owens chooses to fight and die on. This is where we point out that there are receipts that Owens, who once was anti-Trump, is pretty much a scammer, as documented by our News One peeps right here. So that's it for your entertainment. Any thoughts on your girl Candace? I know y'all love this girl to death. Y'all got any comment, any thoughts?
Reap what you sow.
Woo! Hey, like Malcolm said, the chickens will come home to roost.
Yes, they will.
The same people you bashing, you're gonna have to come back home, baby.
Yeah.
Now my thing is this: we don't have a lot of black Americans to throw away, even though there's some disgusting ones. But she gonna have to she should have taken note from Ourvoice. Anybody heard from?
You only get they are only going to allow you for 15 minutes of fame.
That's it.
I mean, get them checks from them folk as long as you can, and that's what you're doing it for, is for them checks.
Yeah.
Because you know they have to have one. I mean, you know, the Ourvoice came to the light, and you know you can't come back home. It's hard to come back home after you've denigrated black people for that long.
It is.
Diamond. What happened to Diamond and Silk? Them Republicans was like, they was like, we don't need you no more. Heckle and Jekyll, we don't need you no more. And they sent them packing. Ain't heard from them. And it's going to be the same way with her. When they're done with them, with her, if 45 gets voted up out the paint, if he gets thrown up out the paint, guess what Candace Owens going to be doing? Coming back trying to settle. No, you can't come back home. You can't.
Y'all ain't never the same.
Yeah, you can't disrespect your own people. And then and as forgiving as we are, because we are forgiving people.
We are very forgiving people.
We are very forgiving people. Yeah. But some things cross the line, and some things we're not gonna tolerate. We're not gonna tolerate foolishness. You know, exactly. As Tariq Nasheed says, dancing for butter biscuits.
Mm.
You can't dance for them butter biscuits and then think you can come back home.
From Bojangles or KFC though.
But I do like some butter biscuits.
I think churches. I think it was churches.
Oh, it was churches.
I ain't gonna say I dance for them, but I might sing something.
All right. Well, that's it for this segment, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, progress is what you do. Achievement is a lifestyle.
Yes, sir.
How we living. And with that, we're gonna end on a Bible quote or a verse from the week. And I picked Romans 12, verse 2. And it reads, "Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect."
I'm gonna leave it at that. Some things don't need to be spoken upon.
Yeah.
The doors of the church is open.
The mic has been dropped.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for this week. Ourvoice360, our perspective, our ways. Whew, thanks for tuning in.
Yes, sir.
Be blessed. Be safe. We out.
Have an awesome week.
Peace.